The Esoteric Principles of Bodybuilding, Episode 2, Grounding. Welcome to the Esoteric Principles of Bodybuilding, and this is Session 2, Episode 2, all about grounding. A very important topic, certainly something that we were struggled with this morning, make the technology behave itself and ground it into our reality. So today, this is the second show with Batista Gremaud, Master Body Designer, and we're looking forward to the discussion. So over to you, Batista.
Hi.
Welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you, and hi, and thank you again for having me doing this show with you. It's something that's very dear to my heart, something that I've been working on for a long time. And so last week we had an overview, and so I decided to take the topic of grounding first as like the second episode, so kind of one of the first principles that we're going to learn, because I find it to be very, very important and very often overlooked, especially when we talk about fitness. Now, you know that we have habits and conscious and unconscious habits that we as human beings have, and sometimes we're not really aware of those things. So when we talk about fitness or bodybuilding per se, the principle of grounding becomes kind of very apparent. And because when you work with weight is quantifiable. You kind of the weight goes up or it goes down, or there's a gauge that you have with the weights. And in our program, when we, for example, get the homework back from the students with the weights or their calendar or things like this, we kind of almost immediately can detect or see how the person is living their life. If they are grounded, if they're not grounded, if they're focused, if they're not. So it's kind of like a saying, how you do one thing, you do everything. I don't know if you heard that saying before, but I found it to be true, because we have habits of how we run our life. And if we become aware and conscious in one area of our life, then we can use this knowledge, these tools, to start applying them to other areas of our life. So the first question that I always have and ask is, can people really choose to keep a positive mindset? Like in The Secret and in metaphysical science, we always talk about, you have to think your reality. You have the power to create with your thoughts. You have to keep a positive mindset and all this. But I wanted to take a few moments to explore that topic. I like to call it like, what comes first, the chicken or the eggs? What comes first? Like being able to keep a positive mindset, or being grounded and in the body, so that you are grounded and now you have a choice of what you're going to be thinking. Does that make sense
Yeah,
at
that
all?
makes perfect. Oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense. I think, when people start being esoteric or in their head, or la-di-da, and they're manifesting, they are actually manifesting, but they're manifesting at the esoteric level or the astral level, but not on the physical plane. If you're going to actually manifest on the physical plane, I think you're absolutely right. You have to be grounded in this body. You have to be fully consciously aware to actually manifest on this plane. So it makes perfect sense to me.
Yes, and obviously, I think that as human beings, light workers or people that want to make a difference in this universe, on this planet, I guess, then we have to acknowledge the fact that the body is the vehicle that allows us to do that. So, we want to manifest in the esoteric plane, but we're still subject to the law of gravity, and so in order
Absolutely.
to keep it going, then we need to acknowledge these things and we need to take care of it so that we can manifest. It's the concept of creating a new earth. like that new earth we're thinking about, we're talking about. I was brought up in Catholicism with this new vision of a new earth, and for me, I envision it as really on the planet physically at a different level, So I wanted to talk about a little bit about the nervous system and the function of the nervous system with what we're talking about with this topic, okay? Because I think it's overlooked, and it's something that needs to be understood and addressed when you talk about fitness, or not fitness, or just life in general, for that matter, So what is the role of the nervous system? The nervous system is actually physical. A lot of times we think, oh, my nervous system, my nerves are gone, or this or that. But the nervous system is actually physical in the body. And what it does is it controls everything that you do, that you think, your movements. It coordinates your muscles. It coordinates your organs, your glands, and it coordinates all this through the spinal column. Okay, so even your emotions and what you talk about is connected through the nervous system that dictate and sends the messages through the body to the brain. Okay, so that and so that's in general for everybody. When you talk about people that are working with high intensity energy, like light workers or esoteric, those energies, then the energies are even more higher intensity, okay? But they still have to go through the body. The body still is what is going to receive those energy, even if you're out of the body, even if you're working on an energetical level, the body is still the receptor. It's still gonna, it's the body that's going to get it.
It's the vehicle for the grounding, and no grounding, like you said in the last show, it's a great way to burn yourself out. It's like running 220 volts through 110 appliances. It's not going to last very long.
Exactly. So when we become aware of that, okay, then we start become aware of the importance of keeping the body grounded and strong, and the nervous system strong, and physically strengthen the nervous system so that you can feel centered, strong, in balance, having less stress, and all these things, okay? And when we don't address that, then we are the result of not addressing all that. It could be depression, illness, hormonal imbalances, because the nervous system is responsible for healing the body. Okay?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen it that way, but it makes sense. I mean, the nervous system has to run the energy, and even the energy of healing, or has to come through the nervous system. So that makes sense to me. If your nervous system is blocked, how can you run the energy necessary for the healing to occur?
Exactly. So a lot of times, and I could say 75% of the time, what we're faced with is people that are multitasking. Like multitasking is a huge thing. I call it a stigma almost, because people think that they are more productive or doing themselves a favor by multitasking. They think that they're being more productive and everything. But in actuality, multitasking has been proven to diminish productivity, memory, IQ. As a matter of fact, there's science that even have resulted in comparing multitasking, like smoking marijuana or being up all night. You know what I mean? So the question that I'm asking so what does that have to do with bodybuilding or what we're talking about? Okay. Everything. Because if you look at the fitness, like look in the gym, what do you see? You see people on their cell phones, you see people doing all kinds of different things, activities, movements, and with no, I mean, I'll ask you a question. Can you visualize, for example, a yoga class with people on their cell phones?
No, I can't. And you've just given me a real insight about when I'm in the gym and there's all this music going on and it's loud and it's, not the type of music I want to listen to. You just give me the idea. I'm going to take my earphones to the gym next time so I can be in my own silence, so I can be focused and grounded on what I'm doing, not listening to somebody else's music.
Exactly, and you hit it right on the button, because what happens is, and what I am putting on the table, and my take on this, and my it's not only the music, but it's also the environment. And this is why when we work with our students, it's so important to choose the right environment, because a lot of times people say, oh, well, I belong to a gym, it's fully equipped, and I'm fine and whatever. But does your gym have windows? Is the air okay? We visited a gym not too long ago in where we are, where they've put like some rubber mats on the floor, and the fume from the rubber mats were so intoxicating, you thought that you were going to like totally suffocate from it. So there's a lot of things, and that's an extreme example. But when we choose a gym for somebody, then we need to really make sure that the environment is that is conducive to have a quiet time. The music, the cleanliness, there's a lot of things to take into consideration. And so what we do, my grounding checklist, for example, when I go to the gym, first of all, is to make sure that I have that time that is allocated and that is my sacred time. So that's the first thing, because like for me, my cell phone stays in the car, or if I did bring it in just because I'm planning to shoot a video or do something like this. So, so you need to look at what you're doing, you or anybody, and really putting the time aside, and then also really working with consciousness, okay? And that again, when we see the homework, when the homework comes back, I was telling you earlier, we kind of can see how people run their lives according to how the homework comes back. And I want to give you an example that is specific, okay? And that is completely in alignment with working, multitasking and staying in the now and grounding and all those principles. For example, we have a sheet of paper, and as you know, because you're on the program, we have sets, so many sets with so many reps, right, for each exercise. So when we do the homework, we ask that the person actually writes down initial over each rep of whether that weight was light, moderately challenging, or, so we have a gauge. So this homework is for several purposes. One of them is for us, of course, when we see the homework come back, then we can see if things are out of proportion, okay? But for the student's perspective, if you are in the gym and you have your sheet of paper and now you have to mark down if that was light, moderate, challenging, or challenging, Now you need to be present in that exercise, and you need to really be, it activates the brain muscle connection, and it puts you in touch with the exercise. A lot of times people go do an exercise and they just go through the motion, you know, and that, so when we ask somebody to actually take the time to do that on each exercise, that brings that groundness and that focus on each exercise. And the more the person gets, you know, the more advanced and the more in touch with the body you get, the more you're able to do the exercise and to really feel if something is maybe not right, if an angle is wrong, or if something is not working, because you have taken the habit of being in the moment, in the now, doing each exercise, each rep, each set with consciousness. Does that make sense?
Well, that's really quite amazing, because what you're saying is to be grounded means to be here now, to be in the moment. And that's the way to be in the gym, is to be totally present in your body, in the moment, with little or no distractions. So for me, that means I, need to be careful when I go to the gym as well. And I am fortunate that I get to go to the gym when there's hardly anybody there, so I have very few interruptions. I can get to the equipment in the right order and the logical way, time sequence. I don't have to wait for people, and it just makes the whole experience more peaceful and more centered for me to stay in my body. So that definitely makes sense to me from my own experience.
Yes, that's great. So then, of course, another thing that helps getting the student back into the body and into the now, because really what we want to do is we want to start creating habits that are really keeping us in the moment and in the now and avoiding multitasking. Because I mean, look at it this way. In every spiritual teaching that I have studied, and I've studied a lot of them, it's really about being in the moment, right? The Buddhism talk about the monkey mind and, the staying in the now, the one-pointedness awareness, and all these things. So as a light worker or a spiritual person, then we should really concern ourselves of living by those, by those principles. So then a lot of times students ask us, well, what about the calendar? Because you ask us to fill out a calendar, and now you want a red mark on the calendar, or, and so and of course, if you're out there and you're not a student, then you have no idea what I'm talking about. But this is something that even in your own life, even if you're not doing this program, keeping a calendar is a good idea. Good idea to keep a calendar, to stay focused, to keep on track, and also to to save time, to save time. And the reason why we do it, okay, is because, again, it forces the person to stop and to actually take a piece of paper and to actually mark down with a pen. A piece of paper, a pen. Now, do you know that there is research that actually say that actually handwriting, this process, actually helps with memory, IQ, cognitive functions. There's a whole list of things that less stress. Let's see, I actually made a list of things that just writing with a pen. We are disconnected because of technology, the phone, the computer, laptop. We want to do everything fast. We want to do everything all at the same time. And what that is doing is it's completely disconnecting our brain to our body. Right. So when I went to a seminar. It was a 15-day seminar. It was very intense. It was from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. at night. It was like for 9 days. It was just like so extensive. and it was very, very expensive too. And do you know that the seminar leader forbid anybody to come in with a laptop to take pictures or to take notes on any device for this purpose, because of the connection and the effect that has to do with things the old way, with a piece of paper and a pen. You know what I mean? It stimulates the brain. You know, it just does something magical. So when we work with people and we ask for these things to be done that way, it has a higher purpose than just, oh my God, it's one more thing to do. We're just establishing a foundation that is grounding the body, grounding the mind, and helping people pick up better habits so that in time it just becomes part of the lifestyle. Does that make sense?
So I guess, yeah, absolutely. So I think for those that are not in your program, it would be a good idea to create your own record of what exercises you're doing in what order, or what weights that you're using, and also the, encoding them the way that Batista was saying, was it easy? Was it difficult? Was it extremely difficult? So that you have a record. And also, by repeating the sequence in the same way, you get to discover what's working and what isn't working. And I know you're going to talk about that in a second. But if you're not in the program, we're really recommending that you keep a calendar and you keep a list of the exercise, note what weights, and notice how well you're doing.
Absolutely. And that's great. And whatever you're doing, if you're doing CrossFit or something, mark down, are you tired, exhausted at the end of the workout? Because we don't want to be exhausted, burnt out, that we need 5 days to recover. That's, unless you're a professional athlete with a purpose, a goal to be in competition or do something like this, this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about a healthy lifestyle. We're talking about long-term results so that, we can look in the 10, 20, 30 years to come. And so we're looking at all these things so that we can last a long time. I'll show you an example just for the sake of showing you of what our calendars look like. Now, we go a little bit to the extreme. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you see, we color code things too. Okay. Now, we don't ask the student to do that. We just say, okay, when you train, mark down in red that you trained, and then mark which program you've done, and then also indicate if there was some stress in your life that happened, unusual stress, somebody dies, or you went on a trip, or something happened, you had a car accident or something. So what we do, we put in red when we trained, but in orange we put when there is a lot of stress, and in green is that we had a really good day, so we color code. So what that does, it's very powerful, because what that does is at the end of the month, at the end of the year, at the end of the 6 months, you can look, what was I doing last month? What was I doing? What was I doing? And you have a view of what's happening in your life, and you start being able to be conscious, aware, and to see where the extra stress could be eliminated, and how you can start now changing things in your life so that you can stay grounded and be healthier and live a longer, happier life. Now for us, and that's for the individual person. Now for us, okay, when we receive the calendar back and the weights with the initial above it and the calendar, inevitably we see the connection between wherever there is stress and wherever the weights were heavy. Okay? Because weight doesn't lie. It's quantifiable. If today the weight is light and you can do it with ease, and next week somehow everything is heavy and everything is hard, there is a reason for that. And when we look at the calendar and we look at the weights, there's always a connection. There was stress, there was this, there was that. And so that's how we start taking the people through the process of becoming more conscious and more conscious. And we do it through bodybuilding, through this process, which is amazing because, people would say, well, I can ground myself because I can go hug a tree, or I can walk in the park barefoot, or I meditate, and all this is good. I'm not saying not to do it by all means, but when you do this with weights, then you have added benefit because you also strengthen not only your bones, your body, your muscles, but you strengthen physically your nervous system. So you don't only quiet it down, you actually strengthen it. And when you do it with our program, you have the added bonus of course, having symmetry, posture, and all those other things that we teach, So that's about homework and how that all works, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. One is to have a schedule. Be sure that if you want certain music, then have your own music. Don't rely on what's going on in the gym. If you want to be quiet, then it's really good. Use earplugs. Good to have a consistent time to go to the gym when you know that there's less activity there, less interference, and you can have access to the equipment. It's important to then record how you did the exercises if you're not following this program, and what sequence, so you can repeat it, and you can see from this week to next week whether you're doing easier or it's more difficult when you do the same repetitions. Also note on the calendar how you're feeling. Are you under stress, not under stress, whether it's a good day or not a good day, and then see the connection to being fully in your body and the type of weights that you can lift, whether it's easy or harder. And you'll find that when you're out of stress in your body and grounded, you'll be able to lift more weights with more ease, and it will give you the clue. And when you're consciously aware like that, then you get to make choices. You get to be able to choose not to be stressed because you know what it means to be stressed and what that does to your body. And then I really like this idea about, when you strengthen your body, obviously you have muscular system, but also you have a better, stronger nervous system, which means you can ground more energy quicker. So if you even get stressed, you can be able to dissipate it quicker. And that's really neat as well. So all those concepts that you are describing make perfect sense to be about why it's in your best interest to have a schedule, to record what you're doing, do it on a regular basis, and to track how you're doing in the gym.
Wow, that was amazing. You said it so beautifully. Excellent. So for me, because I have a lot of training in meditation and things, I add a couple of components to this that I'd like to share with you. I don't know, if that's would be familiar to you or your audience, but in meditation classes and some of the practices that I've learned, we've learned to ground the body by taking an energetical cord of some kind and attach it to the first chakra and ground it, and with a visualization, just drop it to the center of the earth, and through this manner, just ground the body. So this is something that I've learned to do, and I've done for a very, very long time, automatically. I don't even think about it anymore. And then what I do is I also visualize a cord going from the top chakra, the crown chakra, all the way to the universe, and then I bring the energy down, and I bring the energy back from the floor, and then I run the energy, I run the energy. So I blend the cosmic energy with the earth energy, and that's how I work this process. So this is something that I've done for so many years, that I just do it automatically. Also, one thing that I find energetically that helps in grounding the body is to visualize bringing the aura in, because as light worker, if we don't consciously bring the aura in, then a lot of times we're out, because we're working with energies and things. So this is something that I found that really helps, is bring the energy in. And what I found to be very efficient is 17 inches from the body. That seems to be a good length, right? So I use these tools in the gym when I do it. Like the first thing that, aside from everything that you talked about, which I couldn't have said it better, I also, when I get into a machine or a piece of equipment or something, of course, you need to check that the equipment is not broken, that the angles are in the right place, that everything is working. But when I get ready to do my exercise, I also use those energetical tools to bring myself back in, right? And also to be aware. Yeah, and also to be aware of the environment. So when you do this grounding little exercise, and it takes really like a second, right? I mean, at first you might practice, but once you get it, then it's just a matter of thinking it, and it just happens. Okay, but it's very, very helpful, because you check your equipment, you wipe your seat, because a lot of people leave sweat, and so you want to wipe the seats not only for sanitary reason, but to clear the energies also, because everything works together.
Right.
You want to clear the energy, and then you get into the machine and you do this little trick about grounding yourself. Now you become aware of your environment, because there are people working out next to you, and maybe they're screaming, grunting, growling, making noises, dropping weights, and so you just have to really be aware. You bring your in, and then I create, because I know that we have the power to release emotions from the muscle tissue, okay? And this is a topic from another class, where we're really going to, episode where we're really going to talk about this. But I can tell you that you do have the power to release emotions trapped in the body. And again, bodybuilding is a wonderful way of doing it, because you're working with the muscles. So hey, how better can it be? You don't need to just have somebody do the voodoo. You're working yourself, So I also, as part of my grounding and my preparing for doing each exercise, is making an intention of something, because things happen during the day, and we have things and this and that, and we don't always necessarily know what is affecting us or keep holding us back. So for me to have it all covered, and even the things I don't know and I don't think about, I put a color to it. Okay, so I put like whatever is in my way, then it might be a gray color. So I visualize, okay, gray, be gone. You know what I mean? If there's something that the person is conscious about, then you can say, I consciously make an intention to release this. That's another way to do it. But a lot of times we don't even know what's holding us back. So I put a color to it, and I focus. I get into my equipment, my machine. I visualize the movement that I'm going to do, because form is extremely important, and you need to be present. You're just never going to pick up weight and just do weights. Okay?
Right.
So I visualize the movement, I make the intention, I do the movement from top to bottom until my weights are down and I'm secured. Then I release the energy, and that's it. Now I'm done. Okay, so you do all your sets like this, and then you wipe your bench, you wipe your station or whatever, because we always want to leave the place in better condition that we found it. That's the law of the universe. Be the change that you want to see. So we got to start somewhere, right? And then that's the way I do it, you know, and that's the way we teach it.
That's very powerful. I like that. I do teach people to do the 3 breath exercise, which is exactly what you're doing, bringing the energy in through the crown chakra, up through the floor, through your feet, from the heart of Mother Earth. Mix it in your heart, like the dark is becoming the light is becoming the dark. And I ask people to open their arms and breathe it, give it away. Always give it to the world, because it means that you'll get it back. 3 breaths in your body, and then you say, I'm grounded to earth and connected to heaven. And that's your statement to help you remember where you're there. And then that you're so right about, you can have your aura all over the place. We're multidimensional people. We can be scattered all throughout the multi-universe. So before you do the exercise, you can call one soul right here, right now. And when you say one soul right here, right now, that means that you're pulling your aura in from wherever you are, and you're going to be right here, right now, physically safe in your body, focused on doing exercise so you're safe and secure. That makes perfect sense to me as well. I like the whole thing of checking the equipment, making sure, like, for example, I was on a new piece of equipment. I don't have to lie on my tummy to do the leg lifts anymore. I have one that you do it front, guys, that you could adjust it so it fits your legs. So learning how the equipment works, right? Before you start, making sure that you're safe around your equipment. All those things are really, really helpful to be in the moment and to be totally focused of what you're doing in that exercise. So thank you for that. That was great.
Yes, and another thing so you're using the same tools that I am, except that I'm putting them into the gym. So you already know the tools, so you can just go to the gym and add that component to your workout. But
yes.
One thing that I also do is, when you gather the energy that, like you were saying, you gather the energy and bring it down your crown chakra. What I do is I imagine like a golden sun, and what I do is and a golden sun above my crown chakra. And what I do is I call in all the energies that I've left everywhere. So I bring my energy back, and again, sometimes we don't know where those energies are or whatever. And so for me, what works really well is just to do it with colors. I bring all the blue, I bring all the,
I like that.
I bring all the, and then you get back all this energy. So you start becoming whole. So now when you use this practice and you compile it with bodybuilding, now you're bringing all the energies back in your body, but you're rebuilding your own body at the same time. Very powerful. Can't do it with multitasking, can't do it with not being grounded, can't do it. You can't do it. And weight is a factor. So if you're in the gym and you are throwing around 5 pounds, 10 pounds, and thinking that you're doing bodybuilding or strength training, you're not. That's kind of aerobics. Strength training is lifting weight. It means lifting weight, and there's got to be a considerable amount of weight you lift to wake up the body to get the results that we're talking about. So the person needs to really use the grounding principles so that they can move through the chest pieces to actually get to those weights. That needs to be done. But you can do it fairly quickly with our program because it's actually comfortable. And it seems kind of easy too, doesn't it, in a way?
Yeah, yes and no. I know that when you're struggling to learn their exercise properly, it's really difficult to remember how to do it all and keep your feet grounded and, the same distance apart as your shoulders, and make sure your feet are flat on the floor because you're grunting and groaning or trying to figure something else. So yeah, in the beginning, it's a bit awkward as you try and figure out how to do all this in some sort of smooth way, or how to take the equipment back to neutral without making the equipment crash, all sorts of different things like that. So there's a lot going on in the beginning. I have a question for you. Talk about reps. What's the purpose of reps?
The purpose of reps? Oh, you mean like why do we do different reps scale? Sometimes
yeah.
scale.
So why? Yeah. And what's the purpose of that? Are you supposed to be stopped? Are you supposed to be taking 3 breaths between reps? Are you supposed to, just sail through them all as one whole exercise? Let's talk about reps.
Okay, so reps, the rep system that we have is the formula. That's Stephen's genius in creating these prescriptions. So if an exercise has 3 reps, 3 sets at 8 reps for that particular first section, and then it would be and then it would be underneath there would be 3 more reps with 3 more sets with 8 reps, and then maybe 2 sets with 4 reps. So that's the music. Okay, that is the music. Right. How you get to increase the weight and get to be where you need to be. So do you need to do this fast, resting in between, a long time, not too long? That depends, because what we want you to do is to become very in tune with your body. I know for me personally, there are times that I can fly through the workout and I can do everything without almost any rest at all. Okay?
And that's okay. Is that okay?
Sure. If you're not tiring yourself and you're not exhausted, if you have that type of stamina that day, there's nothing wrong with it. There are days where I have to wait an eternity between every, because my body is not kicking in, or, I know one thing though, is at the end of the workout, I feel always better than in the beginning. So it depends if I go in tired.
Absolutely.
Or thinking, today I can't really do it, I'm too tired. Well, there are days that really you better not go, because if you're sick or, you got to listen to your body. Yeah. So what we say is you train when you can, you rest when you can. And in terms of the speed of the program, I know there are bodybuilders that are going it with this time watch, and they have to wait 2 minutes exactly between every exercise or whatever. We don't work like this. Okay, because we work in a way where we just become just really in tune and go with the flow, and that's about it.
Yeah, that really helps, because I was wondering, I sometimes I can sail through them and sometimes I can't. And I'm thinking, well, gee, I wonder, it says this many for this first rep. Am I supposed to be stopping and resting? Well, sometimes I have to. There's no choice. Like I can't do the next one unless I rest. Sometimes I can do the whole set. So that really helps.
Yeah.
And that you're creating a pattern, and repeating that pattern over and over and over again helps your body know what it's getting into and build on the last time you were in the gym. So that makes sense to me as well, that having a schedule, a formula like Stephen creates, so that you're building on that makes perfect sense as well. So thank you for that explanation. That makes it more understandable for me as well.
Yeah, and practice makes permanent. I know some people want to say practice makes perfect, but who cares about perfect? We want sustainable. We want to create sustainable habits and results. So the more you do it, the better you get at it. And thank you for mentioning this learning curve also, because there is a learning curve, and sometimes people want to just confuse what we're doing with like personal training, where you're going to have a program and I just go do this real quick and do this. This is a learning curve where you learn new habits, you learn the system. So in the beginning, you need to put a little time, a little bit of, goodwill to get it done. But what will happen is in time, once you know the system, once you have created these habits, then it becomes second nature. You do it, and now you have the tools, to take care of your body on your own time. And the more you do it, the more skilled you are, the easier it becomes. It just becomes part of your life. It's something that you would never do without, because you know that it's like brushing your teeth. You would not brush your teeth because you have no time, would you? I don't have time to brush my teeth. Who says that? It's the same thing.
Well, that's another thing about the program is, when I first went to the gym and, the manager of the gym says, oh, no, I don't know who this Dr. Fitness USA is, let me start you off. I'm going to put you over here on the treadmill. And, I was in there for like an hour and a half and I was absolutely exhausted. He said, see, don't you feel better? I could hardly drag my butt out of the door. And no, I didn't feel better. I felt exhausted. I've run over me with a Mack truck. So that's the other thing about what you're talking about, is that exhausting the body. This is not pushing the body to the ultimate limits. This is really doing something very straightforward in a consistent way, in a time frame that's reasonable. I don't know what the actual time is to be in the gym, but I'm finding that I can be in and out of there and do everything I need to do within about 45 minutes. Get everything done, feel good about what I've done, and I'm out. Done, finished.
That's about it. 45 minutes. Sometimes you could do it in 30, 40, 45, but 45 is perfect. And thank you for reminding me about this treadmill thing or aerobics before doing the strength training, because this is a huge no to start to do a weight training activity with doing something like aerobic, treadmills, jumping up and down or whatever, because when you think about it, with what we're talking about, the principles of grounding, you want to start with your feet on the ground. You don't want to start jumping around. You have to gather your energy, build strength. That's what strength training is about, building strength. So one of the things that we never would do is do any type of aerobics before the strength training. Never. Another thing we would never do is we would never, for example, do a leg press and follow it by jumping jacks, or, that's a good one, walking lunges. That's another one. If you've seen that in the gym, and the people are like this with the dumbbells in their hands and they're trying, forget it. You gotta just one thing that builds upon the other. We would never put a heavy metal bar on our shoulders and doing squats. I know there's a lot of merits to doing squats. That's true that they make your butt look really nice. Okay, but think about it. Heavy metal bars on your shoulders that keeps shooting pain signal down your spine. Do you know what that does for the person? That's how come we see people that are now in their 40s, 50s, and they're used to be. They're like, oh, I used to do this, I used to be, but not anymore because, it's too painful, it's not for me, now I do yoga, whatever. They have a bad memory because when you're young, you're invincible, right? You can do anything, but it still leaves pain signals and memory, We don't do any of that.
Yeah, that's good to know too. You're not going to the gym to hurt yourself. You're not going to the gym to show off. You're not going there to be the bodybuilder. You're going there to do strength training. Whole different way to approach the gym. And and one of the things you got to be aware of, at least what I was aware of, is everybody thinks you're nuts. Like I can remember the trainer saying to Mr. Muscles next to me, look how he's doing that. I just don't get it. I mean, I would never ever do that. Would you do that? Oh no, I would never do that. So you have to be really confident the program that you can rely on and that you trust, because people are going to say, no, you do it some other way, their way, the right way.
Yes, so there is 1 million people on this planet and everybody has their own answers or whatever, and there's fad programs that pop out of nowhere every day online. You can get, and it can get very confusing. Okay, what is amazing about the Dr. Fitness USA's program, it's been around for 50 years. It works. You know what I mean? And it still works. So, so that's when you go to the gym on the program, you know that you are doing something that has been around for a long time. It's proven, it's tested, and it works. You just gotta keep going and leave the mind, the ego, and all these things out the door, because again, what comes first? The chicken or the egg. If you're completely fried, completely burnt out, on overload, multitasking, running around like a chicken without a head, then are you really able to make rational decisions that you know is going to be good for your health? Maybe your mentor, the person that's teaching you something, has a purpose and a reason to get you past that commotion, So people that ask for help, they have to really sometimes leave their thinking outside the door and just take a leap of faith and say, okay, my life is out of control. What I've tried before didn't work. So, I got to do something different. And so whatever you ask me to do, I'll do it because, I want to change my life. That's what I did when I met Stephen, because my life was like that. I was going around 7 days a week. I had a lot of injuries. My story. I talked about it last week, Yeah. I prayed for it and it came into my life, and I said, okay, I'm in, because I want to be better. Because there are three types of people, okay? There are the people that say, I need help, but you know what? I'm going to sabotage everything you do for me, and I'm going to blame you for not succeeding, because, people are in their heads. Or there is the second person that says, I really need help, but, I know better. I'm going to do it my way because, it's my life and I'm going to do it my way. So you can tell me anything you want, but I'm still going to do it my way. And the other person that says, hey, I need help. So what do you need from me so that I can move forward, get my results, and I'm going to do what I need to do, because I realize that you have experience in this and that you can take me from point A to point Z. So, that's the thing. But that was the reason why I wanted to talk about the nervous system today, to get the point across that many times the person is so stressed, under so much, with so many pressures, with so many children, work, husbands. There's always another drama that happens, and especially 40 up, when on top of it the hormones start changing, then the person gets on the wheel and they can't get out of it. There's always the next drama, always the next thing. And so is that their fault? Well, it's life, right? But then you can stop it. You can make a conscious decision to stop it. And this program is amazing for that, because it's simple, it gives tools, and the wheel doesn't stop on its own, or it stops when the person gets sick. And we've seen it all the time. Okay, I've been this 10 years now, and in the 10 years I've seen plenty of people that had no time, they wanted to do it their way, and if they're not sick, they're dead. It's serious business. It's serious business. So, and that's the nervous system, and the person might not even be aware of what's going on in their life. But this is what we do. And that was important of grounding.
So what's the next show all about? What's the next episode all about? Because that was amazing. Learning how to be grounded, how to stay in your body, how to be focused when you're in the gym, how to get the best results consistently in a reasonable time in the gym of your choice. If you're not in this program, we gave you tips and tricks about keeping a journal, keeping a log, a calendar, doing a regular routine, and marking down how successful you were with that routine, what sort of mood were you in, and noticing how your mood affects your ability to move the weights and the weights that you can lift in the moment. And so this is all part of strengthening your nervous system so that you can ground, let go of stress, balance your hormones, be in your body, and live a more gentle, peaceful, energetic, vital life. So what's up for next week?
Okay, so next week we're gonna take we're gonna bring it up a notch, and we're going to talk about yin yang, male, female, male brain, female brain, and how that affects again the emotion, the nerve, everything that we talked about today. It's going to make even more sense when you get to the next episode about male, female, and how we manage male, female energies within ourselves, and how that affects training, and how we can actually have balance back, and using this program, bodybuilding, to bring that yin-yang balance within ourselves. And I'm going to bring Dr. Fitness USA next week to talk about that, because it's his, he's the one that brought these principles into my awareness, and there's nobody else like him who can talk about that. And be ready, he's out of the box. So, and he doesn't mash his words, so he says it the way he sees it, and it's wonderful. Sometimes, some people get mad, but oh, so what? But he's the man, and so far, when it has to do with the gym and with these concepts and principles, I absolutely never found him to be wrong. And, we're married now, and as you know, as a couple, couples fight and whatever, we have our arguments. But when it's about this and the gym, I honestly never found him to be wrong, and I witness it in our students. So listen carefully, because he's got some profound wisdom to share, and he's going to be on next week.
Yes, so everybody show up for this episode. It's not just the male-female principle and balancing inside of yourself to manage your own full body awareness, but also it's going to help you improve your relationship with your significant other, with your loved one. So that's Stephen's forte, and he's going to talk to us all about that. So until next week, same time, same place, come on back and join us for episode 3, male-female principles on how to balance. So bye for now, everybody.
Hey, bye. See you next week.
This 13-episode series, The Esoteric Principles of Bodybuilding, The Missing Links to Fitness Consciousness, with your host, Batista Gremaud, Master Builder, Bodybuilder, and Designer, is co-hosted and produced by Tyhson Banighen and his guides, www.thewellnessshow.ca. And see, the same time, same place, every Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. See you then. Bye for now.